Oh, did we want to do a toast?
Do you have one?
No.
I don't have one, so we'll
Okay.
skip this today.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Welcome, everyone. It's Case of the Mondays. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Ashton.
So normally in my notes, like sometimes they're longer than others. This is very minimal today, but I put like our intro topics and I have Ashton's float trip because I think it's worth talking about. So Ashton told me, I knew they had this float trip planned and we couldn't go because I have a wedding tomorrow, but a lot of the people going on her float trip have never been on a float trip, including Ashton. So it's worth talking about. So what are you expecting for this float trip? Like, what are your expectations?
I am expecting the unexpected. No, I'm trying to. So I have been camping before. For those of you that don't know me, I would say Jordan's way more. We're not super outdoorsy, but you're way more outdoorsy than I am.
A little more than Ashton can.
Yes,
sure.
like I've been camping once before, but like I went with my dad to Yellowstone. And so like we glamped. I mean, we were in like a tent, but he had like the setup and everything because he goes camping quite a bit. So I'm like, my one camping experience was pretty good. It was also like Yellowstone in May. So there's literally snow on the ground. So I haven't been when it's like 100 degrees.
When it's hot, it's like a very different type of camping, I feel like. So yeah, you know, like when you're in the cold, I feel like you can always bundle up, but when you're in the heat, it's just hot. Like
there's nothing you can do.
So
yeah, but I'm really excited. I haven't packed, so I'm a little stressed because I'm like, we played pickleball last night with some of our friends that are going on the float trip. Me and one of the guys who I don't know if he's ever been camping before at all. So we're like making our shopping list, our packing list. I'm like, oh wait, but we need to bring towels, like one for the float trip and one to shower and toiletries and like all this stuff. So it'll be good.
It's different than packing for a hotel for sure. Cause like, yeah, you have to think about like, okay, I need to bring something to like carry my toiletries to the shower with, right? Like, it's like, it's a different ordeal. Like in the food situation, it's like, you know, we were talking about this. Like you said,
that's what
Clayton,
I have been.
Explain the story about Clayton. Cause it was funny how you were like, what do we bring?
Yeah, well, because I thank you, Jordan, for sending me all these tips. You're like, this is what we have done in float trips past, and it hasn't worked out. So this is like what I'm going to do differently. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Got to do wraps instead of sandwiches. Got to whatever. And so last night, as we're making like our little grocery list, me and this guy, Clayton comes over, and I'm like, hey, Clayton, like, what's the food situation? And all he says is hot dogs. Which
I'm gonna
is
eat hot dogs for 3 days, like they're 2 days, you know, at least.
Yeah. Also, like it's Friday. We're heading down tonight. We're staying in a cabin. So I'm like, okay, so we need to plan for Friday night dinner. Saturday, I guess, is hot dog time for dinner. But I'm like, okay, Clayton, like, what are we having for lunch? And he's like, I haven't really thought about it. And I'm like, okay,
he's just planning on drinking his lunch like a typical man, like on the water. He's like, we have beer. What do we need?
I physically can't do that. Like I will explode. And also I don't really like hot dogs. And so I look at the guy, Michael, and I'm like, okay, so Clayton clearly has not thought of a side dish. So we'll get potato salad. We'll do chips. And he's like, okay, this is going to be good. I'm happy like other people are thinking about this. Cause like if it was up to Clayton, it would just be hot dog city all day.
Can you imagine? That's what Peyton would do too. I think Peyton would eat a cold hot dog on the river for sure and not think twice about it.
Like
or
hot
let it
dogs.
cook in we had the whole episode about how hot dogs are made. I'm with you, Ash. I can do I like brats and stuff, but I will do a hot dog if it's a good, like I don't know. There are certain situations where I'm like, that sounds pretty good, but like just normal out of the package, like Nathan's, I'm like, I'm good. Like I'll eat anything else.
And when Jordan and I were talking before this, talking about just like float trip, what I need. And in my head, I think I would get made fun of so hard, but I was like, oh, while we're at the store, like maybe I'll get myself like a little salad for dinner, which would be so embarrassing. Like I'm not going to do it, but because I hate hot dogs, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Ashton and her personal salad on the
on the river. I'm like, okay, well, this is mine. And yeah, I don't know. I'm fully leaning into the whole I'm glamping, but one thing I will not do, I will not complain because I know like Clayton,
he's expecting you to complain. Yeah.
Clayton is expecting me. Clayton and his family obviously know me to not be the most outdoorsy person. And I know that. And so I think like expectations, like they're expecting a story or some story is going to come out of this and I will not give it to them. I'll give it to you guys. I'll give you the truth.
I like
But
it.
to everyone else in the moment, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Like, no, like snakes are cool. No.
Ashton's all she's like, I'm leaning into granola girl, like just hiking
Actually,
girl.
for if you're watching on YouTube, so we got little fisherman hats because
Yes.
this skin cannot stand
Oh
the
yeah, you need a
sun.
big hat for sure. Oh
So I made Clayton get me a pink one. I think it's so
look
cute.
at her. She looks like a little river girl.
Oh, who? I put it on. Clayton ordered it from Amazon. I put it on and I go, oh, this is how you fish, guys. Like, I'll teach you. Oh my gosh, wait, no. And that reminded me, I haven't even told you what else Clayton is planning for dinner. I'm going to keep the hat on for this. um, so we saw his parents last weekend. And his dad was like, oh, what river are you going to? Okay. Oh my gosh, like you guys should get some little fishing nets and goggles and go swim for crawfish. And he said, and I quote, he's like, all you have to do is dive down like 9, 10 feet and there's loads of crawfish. And I'm like, diving
Also,
in
the river
a
is
river?
not that deep. It is not that deep. I'm telling you right now. The float trip rivers are like, I mean, normally our cooler is so heavy that it weighs us down because it's hitting the bottom. Like at most, it's up to your waist, like in some areas. It's not like this like deep sea
Yeah.
thing. Maybe the river you're going to is different. Can you imagine Ashton though in there with a net and her hat, just like
with a snorkel?
And the snorkel's like,
and the way his dad described it, I mean, obviously it's not glamorous, but he's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, you got to do it. Like, it's awesome. They're like huge crawfish, but they're pinching you while you're trying to get them in the bag. And I'm like,
oh my God,
Clayton, that's a you thing. If you want to do that,
do you know the work in cooking that? Like, I'd rather have a hot dog than do all that work.
Yeah, I'd rather eat a hot dog than some river crawfish. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. But also, and then you get to store that the rest of your float. Like this is like probably
right.
like an 8-mile float. So, and you do it pretty slow. Like normally we're back at camp by like 6 p.m. Like, so it's like, it's a full day of it. So like you're supposed to hang onto those crawfish for like a full 8 hours in the sun. Like,
so Clayton did get goggles and a little net. Like he's going to try it.
We need a TikTok of that.
But I know if he were to catch anything, I know he hasn't plans of how he's going to store it or like what's the next steps? How are we going to boil this thing? I don't know. But I will report back because I'm excited. I'm not going to say anything to him. I'll be like,
I want to see a hot dog with crawfish on it. Like,
oh my God. That would be so disgusting. Gross.
Ew. No, yeah. I mean, I think especially if you're like a pro camper and you have all the equipment, that's great. But like we do this once a year. Like we do not invest in this. Like we're borrowing stuff from dad for ours. So like Ashton is so excited for this float trip. She signed up for my float trip. That's in a month. So
yes.
I think I really hope you like this float trip because you've committed
because I've already committed. Well, that's because Molly, one of my best friends, texted me. I was like, hey, you're going to Jordan's float trip. And I'm like, well, if you go, then I'll go. Like, sure, let's do it. So this is my practice run. Everything that I don't like, I will make better for yours.
In a month. Okay.
So, but I already know Jordan has been telling me the plans and like the food sitch, everything. I'm like, you know what? You got it taken care of. It's
I actually
so fun.
Peyton will have already seen his Blackstone when he comes home, but that's what I bought this morning was his Father's Day gift, which is the Adventure Blackstone. So it's like the normal Blackstone, but like it collapses really easily and then you can take it with you like camping and stuff. So we're like full glamping. We have a Blackstone to cook breakfast.
That's what I'm thinking. How are we going to eat breakfast? I'm stressed.
See, you're going to do it like we've done it before where no one plans breakfast and we're just eating like granola bars. Like I think the last float trip I was starving. Well, yeah, because you drink Friday night too. So you're hungover. I think I ate like about 5 granola bars and a coffee. And then I immediately start drinking at 9 a.m. and it was not a good idea.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. I don't know, think of something that is like, because you normally would want a hearty breakfast, right? Like, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the cabin sitch is like. Like, is there a fridge?
Yeah,
Is
there
there a
should be a
kitchen?
stove and a fridge in there, I would think.
Okay. So we can at
Because the
least do
other
one
option is if
breakfast.
you're on like a fire pit or something, you could start a fire in the morning and put like a cast iron
Ooh.
pot, on it, and then like cook eggs or
Yeah.
whatever you want. And I'm just gonna bring like the egg beaters that are already, so I don't have to like crack eggs and
Ooh.
stuff. And then we're gonna do breakfast burritos for ours, just so we like good to
Yeah,
go.
I'm definitely coming to yours. Last question. You're not bringing the dogs on the float trip, right?
No, can you imagine those annoying ass dogs? No.
I love your dogs.
No.
So Clayton, for this, I think someone who's telling me one of his coworkers, like, I don't know if he backed out or he was a maybe, but he was like, oh yeah, if I don't go, then these other people might go. And I was like, oh, Clayton, like, don't they have like a puppy? And Clayton's like, there are no dog. Like, he's like, if anyone brings their dog, we're gonna have a dog raft and a no dog raft. Cause like, and I'm like, yeah, I think a dog like on the water for 6 hours, that would be like very stressful. Like, I don't know
People do
anyone.
it, but they're well trained. Like my dogs are
Yeah.
not well trained. I'll just be honest.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I was like, is that a normal thing? Like, should I expect people to bring their big ass dogs?
Some
on
people
this
do,
trip?
but I think if you're doing rafts, they don't allow dogs in the rafts because they can pop them.
Yeah,
I could be
okay.
totally wrong on that.
Yeah.
But I think the one that we're going to said like you can do dogs if you're doing canoes because they're like
Mhm.
metal.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah,
good
no,
to
I
know.
would also be like, no, this is a people only trip. The dogs are fine. My
They're
dogs would
fine.
take off. They would just like run away. No, absolutely not. They're getting boarded for the weekend.
Yeah. Are mom and dad watching Miller overnight?
They are. Yes, they're very
nights? That's
excited.
crazy.
I know. Yeah. So they're very excited. They have big plans. So, but it's fine. It's the
Good.
summer, so like they can take him in the lake. He can play in his little baby pool. So
I'm just gonna have so much fun.
I know we actually we ordered him I should grab it so I can show it on the video, but it's like I bought him another little baby snapback, like that Knuckleheads brand, because his head's big. So he had a new size. So I got him that in a whole, he has like like his new swim trunks are American flag. And then I got him a matching like swim shirt for it. Oh yeah.
Oh my God,
he's
too
styling.
cute. The baby swim shirts are so funny.
Yes. And like his new lake float looks like a shark. Like it looks like he's sitting in the shark's mouth. So we're testing it today actually. So we're very
Oh my
excited.
God, so fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, actually that leads into my next topic. So we were going through like, cause we're moving. Oh, the fishing hat is off. She's done with that.
Yeah, it was just for float
Also,
trips.
okay, before we fully like move on, I will say float trips, like, because we have some people going on ours that have never been either. So, we're talking about like what appropriate like float trip attire is. And like, my friends, it's kind of like Halloween in the summer. Like you're kind of supposed to wear something crazy. Like I think one year I wore a one-piece swimsuit that like was American flag with like a big bald eagle on it. Like it was so gross. Like I've seen TikToks of girls wearing like the ones that look like a man's like hairy chest.
I was gonna say, oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah.
So like I normally will go to Walmart and just buy whatever, like a wolf tee and make it a cut off, like something really gross. So
love that.
Peyton has requested, because I was like, oh, you should wear like, because I think he looks good in a cowboy hat, but he's like, I'm not gonna be that guy. Like he's just like,
oh, I think he would.
Peyton, he's very simple. It's like flat bill hat, t-shirt, jeans,
he knows it works
all the time.
And there's no venturing out, which is
no,
fine.
and I'm like, a float trip is the perfect opportunity to venture out. But he has said no to the cowboy hat. I think we may sneak one, and then when he drinks enough, maybe we slip it on. You know what I mean?
It's gonna become his whole new personality. Is this cowboy hat?
Yeah. Although I don't. That's like iffy waters. Like I don't want him to become the cowboy hat guy. Yeah. Like I don't want him to be like now becoming the man that wears a cowboy hat at every event.
Yeah.
Because we're not that old. I think when you hit like 40, you can be that guy. But, I think in certain situations it would be fun. But he said no. So his request, though, is that he wants to wear a Crystal Gale t-shirt. Like in Ricky Bobby, doesn't he say something about like, it ruined my Crystal Gale t-shirt?
Yes. Let me
show you what I ordered off Etsy.
Show me what it was. Oh my God. Okay.
It just says it's so gross. Did you look?
Wait, like the woman Crystal Gale?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's awesome. You have to.
I know. I'm looking up. How do you look up? Look, this is my boomer self.
Well, actually, that reminds me because I need to plan like what am I going to wear on the river,
Look
and I
at
might
this.
steal.
What? Can you see it?
I can see it. You're getting a lot of Amazon packages.
Look, it just says crystal. And I'm like, no one's just going to say crystal with this woman. And he's going to make it into a cutoff.
Oh, I love it. Well, I was going to say, because I think I told you guys a couple weeks back how Clayton's like, we need to stop spending so much money. And I'm like, you and the mouse in your pocket? Like, yeah, you do. Because he's like, he thinks he's not an impulse buyer, but he did buy Mean Girl, the musical merch that said a little bit dramatic. So I think I'm going to steal it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You didn't even
trip.
tell that story, I don't think. Did you? Did you tell
I think I did. It's literally in our room. He's never touched this t-shirt. And he ordered it. A little
bit dramatic. Ha ha.
Little bit dramatic. Mean Girls. Like, it's so funny.
Like, why did you buy that? That's what he should wear on the float trip. I think that should be his cutoff.
He's going to wear that one. And then I'm going to steal his shirt that says, got my ass eaten at the Bass Pro Pyramid.
That's it.
Because he hasn't got to wear that either. We wanted him to wear it when we were.
Float trip shirt for sure.
When we were in New Orleans, we're like, dude, you got to bring the Bass Pro. We're driving right by the pyramid. And he's like, no, I don't think it's appropriate. I'm like, well, when is it? So
you bought this shirt that says, I got my ass eat at the Bass Pro Pyramid. Like,
I'm definitely bringing it funny, to yours.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh
well, and I mean, I think that's the thing. So like, and the other thing is like on the river, you know, like, because of course, like you go to the big ones, like the Niangua and stuff. It's like, people are like, oh, you know, show me your tits for beads or whatever, you know? And we're like, no, like,
no,
way too old for that.
You're like, I'm a mother. No.
Yeah. And like, so this, even on one of our first float trips, when we all like, were like younger, not even married, we were even like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Like, but we'll laugh at you guys for sure. But then the guys, because it was mostly dudes and then like 4 girls, like it was like it was like a sausage fest for sure. And so then they started yelling back at the other groups, like, show me your dick, pussy. And like, people would be like, no one did. But the look on people's faces when like, because dudes are so comfortable being like, show me your tits. But then like when they get yelled back, show me your dick, then they like, they get like, very caught off guard. And it's so funny.
Oh my God.
So I advise if you're getting harassed, just shout that back and it's an immediate shutdown. But if they do it, you're like, oh,
even worse.
Worse. But I will say chances of them actually doing it are very slim. But yeah, like people will bring like lots of beads, you know, thinking that lots of people are going to flash them. And it's like, you know what, to me, I'm good. Like, I don't need your beads. Like, I'm fine, you know?
Well, and question, are people like passing people? Or because in my mind, from my understanding is you don't go very fast. So I'm thinking like, so you flash someone and then you have to be next to that raft for hours. So
yeah,
you're like,
normally with the same groups kind of. And like there's stopping points, like if you're like, yeah, let's stop off here and hang out for a minute and then you'll stop and whatever. I'm assuming you guys have a waterproof speaker you're bringing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like you'll stop off and then other groups will be there partying and stuff. And then like there'll be stops where like you guys can stop off and stuff and other groups will be there and everybody's kind of partying together. You may like get drunk and like meet another group and say hi or whatever. And then you just get back on the water and keep going. But the river's pretty wide, like in most parts. So like you can pass people if you want, but you're probably just going to be floating, taking you sweet ass time.
Perfect. So, okay. Sweet. Yeah. I'm very excited. So fun.
You know, with this is where I was going with this. So like last night, Peyton was like, you know what? It's so hot. Like I don't have a lot of tank tops. I'm going to make some cutoffs tonight. Like good Missouri boy. Like why buy a tank top when you can just cut off a t-shirt, existing t-shirt, whatever.
Perfect.
You know, it's fine. So he's like grabbing some shirts that he was going to get rid of and just like making them into cutoffs or whatever. And then, it's honestly my fault because I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Miller had a cutoff? And then he took it seriously and he made him a baby cutoff. And so it's literally like Miller with this like big cutoff t-shirt. And Peyton demanded, he was like, he needs to wear that to school tomorrow. And I was like, he's not wearing that to school tomorrow. And he was like, seriously, that's so funny. You should send him to school in that tomorrow. He's like, I'm gonna be upset if you don't send him to school in that. Because they are outside a lot of the day. So he does normally wear a tank top.
Baby cutoff.
And
You didn't.
It's very
You
big.
did?
Yeah, I sent him, and I'm sure daycare is like,
Well, you have said that they're usually like, oh yeah, Miller's like really well
the
dressed
best
for
dressed
a little
kid
baby.
there. And then today he's there in sandals, basketball shorts, and a baby cut off. And it's like, it's actually, this is terrible. I know.
Not the basketball shorts.
It's a shirt. It's like some ugly shirt that like one of our grandparents got him that it was really ugly. It was like, you know, like when you go to Mexico and you can buy those shirts like that are all about the Indias.
Even
and
better.
Like,
that's the cutoff.
That's it. Like it's like has like weird like, you know, the Indias like pyramids and stuff, and then it's just a cutoff. So baby cutoff.
Oh my god, that is so. It is Friday. Yeah. Whatever. Casual Friday.
I know. I'm like, at least when I pick them up, I don't have to see them till Monday, so that's cool.
Maybe they'll forget, or they'll be like, "What the hell was that?"
They're gonna talk about it all weekend and be like, "Ooh, is that baby wearing a cutoff?" Yeah.
So can't wait to see the cutoff again, Miller. I mean, I was gonna say maybe that's just his like for Father's Day. You just dress Miller up like identical to Peyton with his new little snapback, his little cutoff.
His cutoff, yeah.
Oh my god.
Peyton was ready to make more, and I was like, maybe we just see how much use we get out of this one, you know, before we start cutting up all of his t-shirts. Like, he has no t-shirt. Like, that would be Peyton. He would be like, well, he doesn't have any t-shirts left. And I'm like, probably because you cut them all up. Like,
yeah, what do we do when it's cold outside? Oh my god. That is so funny.
Yeah. So no, that was funny last night. It made me laugh. And my last thing on my intro, that, and feel free to cut any of this out if you want, but
you always say that, and I always keep it in, and I always keep in you saying you can cut this out,
and then it's always in. Okay,
that's fine.
So I purposely told Ashen about this, but I didn't finish the story because I wanted her reaction on the podcast. So I'm selling I bought a new MacBook for my video editing, so I'm selling my old desktop. Listed it on Facebook. It's like only like 2.5 years old. So I'm listing it for like $450, which is actually still a really good price for a MacBook that was, you know,
and
like
it's like your huge one.
It's right? Like my desktop. It's really nice. Yeah. I just needed more space and more speed. So that's why I upgraded. So, so I list it on Facebook for $450. And I've gotten a couple, like, okay, first of all, a couple people lowball offers. Like, they're like, I'll give you $200. And I'm like, this is 2 years old. Like, seriously?
Yeah, and you're like no, like I paid a lot of money for
$1,300 brand new 2 years ago. I think $450 or like $400-ish is fair.
Yeah.
So anyways, I get a couple of these lowball offers and I'm like, no. And then this person messages me, and normally when they lowball, I just ignore. Like, I'm like not even wasting my time, but they message me. They also don't even have a profile picture, but their offers were very funny. So I get a message that says, I got a sandwich and $10, take it or leave it.
Did Dad send that to you?
It's just like, and I said, haha, that's good. So is that a yes? It's a ham sandwich with which good bread. I think they meant with good bread. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I'd rather have the cash. Thank you though. One last offer. I got a chicken tamale hot and ready.
And you're like, this conversation is done.
And I was like, yeah, I already laughed, like moving on.
Yeah. But oh my God, that's funny.
I appreciate you having fun. Like, you know, but Anna, can you please at least put a profile picture up? Like, it's just like,
I'm thinking this is one of your friends messing with you. Like, hey.
No, it's a real profile and they have friends and stuff. They just don't have a profile picture, which I'm like, oh my God. You've been on Facebook enough to add friends and not add a profile picture. It's just kind of strange. So
that's so funny.
Anyways, I knew you would laugh. I was like, okay, so we'll see if I sell my MacBook. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you'll sell it on here. Anyone contact Jordan. Her phone number is
yeah.
No, not doing that.
Oh my God. So yeah, well, that's all my, life topics. I don't know if you had any more.
No, I was just gonna talk about we went to see the Chicks this weekend. Or no, this
Dixie
week
Chicks?
They were
they're the Chicks now, but the Dixie Chicks. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to see the Chicks in St. Louis this week. And it was actually the first show of their tour, which was really exciting. And I had 2 complaints. So at the beginning of the show, and I think I already told you this, but they played like a couple songs and they're like, oh, we're going to do a dice game, like, woohoo. And they brought this like little 8-year-old girl out. She rolls the dice and literally rolls like 2 times. And they're like, oh, like, let's do a re-roll. Like, we'll do another one. But then one of the gals, I don't know who, was like, no, this is a good one. But I think she thought it was a different song. So basically, there were 6 song options. It was like Ready to Run, Traveling Soldier. What was the other one? I need to look
I
it
would
up.
be like, I hope you're singing those songs anyways. Those are good songs.
And There's Your Trouble. So there was 3 bangers.
Yeah.
And then the other 3, I literally, fake fan, had never heard of. And so it lands on one of the ones. It was like Truth number 2. If that's your favorite song, cool. I have never heard
I
that
have no
song
idea
before.
what that song is, but
It
I'm not
literally-
like a super big fan. I'm like, know all the basics, right?
Yeah.
So
No, the girls I was with, they like really big, the Chicks fans. And even they were like, I don't know this song. Why are they playing this song? And so I think they thought it had rolled, like the band thought it rolled on one of the bangers. And then by the time it was already too awkward to be like, actually, no, we don't want to do this one.
like re-roll.
Yeah. And so then they play the
Oh
song
my God.
and they're like, okay, well, there's no way they're not going to play those top 3 hits. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way they're not going to do it. Like, maybe they'll do the dice roll throughout the show and like they'll get to each song
Yeah.
or like,
Also, what a risky thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is kind of a risky game. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And sure enough, they did not play those 3 songs like at all. And we were
Oh.
kind of disappointed. Like the rest of the show, guys, like they sound amazing. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Like everything else was so good. But I'm just like, I can't get over that they didn't play those 3 bangers. And after they did the dice roll game, the lead singer was like, oh, like, do you guys like this game? Everyone said no. Like everyone screamed no. And it was kind of awkward.
Isn't
'cause
that
it's like
so awkward? The whole
the
crowd
beginning of the
screaming,
show.
no.
and it's the first show of your tour. I'm like, I hope the people in the front
Oh
like
my
were really
God.
excited. But it was a lot. So that was my first complaint. Second complaint, cop was rude to me. So
Uh-oh.
it was stupid, but I do have to say this. So it's like halfway through the show. The show, I think, ended at 11 and it's like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, man, like I finished my beer. Like I'm going to go get another one really quick. I hop in line and there's like 2 people in front of me and there's a cop standing like next to the booth. And so I see a girl order 2 McUltras. She walks away with them. And then the cop was like, hey, just so you guys know, like they're not serving beer anymore. Like you can only get water or like non-alcoholic. And I'm like, okay, well, that girl just walked away with 2 beers. So like, I'm going to wait. And like, the line's pretty long. I'm next. I'm like the second person. Like, I'm just going to wait it out, whatever.
Yeah.
So I get up there and I'm like, hey, like, are you guys like, can I get a couple beers? And the girl's like, no, unfortunately not. I'm like, okay, like seriously, no worries. Like nice, stepped out of line. And the cop
Yeah.
looks at me and he says, did you not believe me? Points at his badge and says, this is a real badge. And me not thinking, I have my ID in hand. And I said, yeah, and this is a real ID.
Ooh.
So, which you're not supposed to talk back to cops. And I just walked away because I'm like, I'm not
Oh
dealing with this
my God.
conversation. But I'm like, really? You don't have to be a jerk about it. Like I wasn't being rude to anyone except for you because you were being rude to me. But like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It seemed like a power move that I was like, you know what? Joke's on you because someone in my group did not finish their second beer. So I still got it. And I had
Yeah,
a great time.
bitch. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad you didn't get arrested.
Oh, I don't think he was going to arrest me. And he wasn't even hot. So I was like, I'm sorry. You don't get to be rude and ugly. And I stand by that. Okay. So my weird news this week is from a UPI article.
Nice.
And so in Tennessee, there is a 300-pound mystery pig wandering around and damaging property. And they don't know who the owner is. No one has stepped forward. And it's becoming a real issue because it's like eating people's gardens and just like messing up.
and pigs will eat
the town.
anything. So
And it's the photo of this pig is so funny. Like it's 300 pounds. This is a big pig.
it's
So
huge.
they're like, someone's got to recognize this pig. This is not from the wild, but no one's stepping forward. And what really made me laugh was that, so Shannon Posada, the director of the Carter County Animal Shelter, gave a quote and she's like, people like we're open to people like fostering this pig, but like we as a department, and I quote, we have no way to transport a 300-pound pig. We have nowhere to put a 300-pound pig safely. So like, please, people, like we need you. Owners step forward, or like people need to foster this pig because like it obviously has a home. It needs a home to go to.
Yeah.
But the photos were so funny. And he's just like
That is
chilling and
amazing.
massive. Yeah. So very
Wow.
weird.
Well, and it's like, I mean, I guess if no one claims it, does it just keep running around town? Like, what's the plan?
I don't know. Well, the shelter, that's why they're like, we cannot transport this thing.
Yeah.
And we can't store it. Like it needs a better home to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least in the
Wow.
article, it didn't have a game plan if no one steps forward. But
You
crazy.
just let it keep running around. It's like a wild dog at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how fast like it can sneak away. Like obviously someone who has pigs
They're not
is
fast.
gonna-
I've been around pigs before.
and a 300-pound one, like I don't think he's sprinting away.
Actually, Peyton had a friend that he lived with that summer after we graduated high school, before we went to college, and they had like an exotic animal farm, and they had a pig that was like their pet, and it just kind of roamed around and was almost like their dog kind of, and his name, or was it her name was Fern, and she was like kind of like she'd like snort at you like if you because they can't turn their neck, so like if you walk up on them at a certain angle and scare them, it was like
oh my god.
Her name was Fern. Yeah, Fern.
That
and she
is
was
so
just
funny.
like really old and just like
Was she mean? I thought they got mean when they got old.
she was kind of mean.
Oh my god.
Fern. Never forget
That's
Fern.
so funny.
I don't know. I'm sure she's not around anymore, but she was not nice.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Okay. So I got it from Mirror again. This is just like my thing, right? So, okay. The headline of this article says, my colleague's wife sent me a threatening text about her man when I haven't done anything. And so all in all, I'm not going to read the whole article, but essentially they work in kind of a they're like freelance workers in like kind of a creative space. So I'm imagining whether it's like writing, they make videos, or they're photo editors or something like, and it's things where like you're contracted in to do this kind of work and you work together to do a lot of projects. And I guess he's married to this is a girl that reported this like on a social media site, and she is like, I have like a longtime partner, like we've lived together and stuff. This guy I work with, he is married. They actually have a kid together and stuff. And obviously we text and work together on this this current project we're on. We've been doing it for 6 months or whatever. So I guess she posted that this on social media. She posted, this evening, I received a WhatsApp from this guy's wife. She must have taken my number from his phone, telling me to stop calling him. He's a married man and he has a child, and I need to back off and stay away from her husband. And so she's like, I'm like completely caught off guard. How would you handle this? And so I thought this was like a really good talking point, because I feel like this has had to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Or like,
yeah,
I think this girl really is like, and when she says partner, so I'm wondering if she's gay, you know what I mean? Cause she says her long-term partner, but
yeah,
either way, whatever. She's like, we like strictly like work together. This is not it. So clearly this wife is threatened and doesn't feel comfortable with me texting and calling her husband when it's over like work matters. So
yeah,
I think it's a good talking point. Like, how do you handle it? Do you not respond and just tell your coworker, I got this message from your wife, I just leave it to you to handle it? Or do you message her back and reassure her? Like, how would you handle it? Right.
Oh, that's so interesting. Cause like, how people talk about like, oh, they're like my work husband, my work wife, which has always like weirded me out. Like, I'm like, I don't think you should. I don't know. Like,
it would rub me the wrong way.
Yeah. Cause Clayton works with like a couple girls and like, I'm friends with them. Like, we're all really good friends.
Yeah.
I've never been threatened by anything. Like, even when like they have to spend long hours working. Cause I'm like, that sounds boring. I don't want to do that. But they have never like, I don't know. I've never been threatened by anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like you might need to, I feel like I would text the wife back and be like, hey, like, I don't know what impression you have, but like we seriously, like if you look through the messages, we're really just talking about work. I might say like, hey, how's your day
Yeah.
going? To like be
Because you
nice,
honestly
but
have nothing to lose, right? Like, I mean, if you really didn't do anything wrong, like, I mean, I would probably do the same thing and just be like, hey, like, I'm not sure like what your guys'
yeah.
relationship is like or anything, but like I'm fully transparent here. Like if you need any sort of reassurance. And then I would also text the husband and be like, or just mention it to him at work. Maybe because she's a little sensitive right now, maybe not text him that night, but like maybe in the morning at work, just be like, hey, I think we should talk. Like your wife sent me a message last night. Like clearly she's very uncomfortable about something.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about your relationship between you two, but clearly it's involving me now. And this is strictly work. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know what kind of impression she's getting, or like, and you don't know if maybe he's cheated on her before, like maybe, like
True.
you don't know the dynamic, but you want to be separate enough from that to just protect yourself. Cause like,
definitely. Yeah. Cause I feel like if you don't talk to her and you just go straight to the husband, like that would cause a rift. Cause either a rift between you and your coworker, cause he's gonna be like, oh, like I thought there was something here. Like, oh, like there's not anything here. And she's like, no, I didn't think so. Or that's going to cause a rift between him and his wife because he'll be like, I didn't know she sent that to you. Like, oh my God.
Maybe he has no idea, right? But you're right.
Situation.
Maybe there's a reason the wife freaked out, right? Like maybe he's been talking about you at home a lot. And then she's finally like, well, also it says the baby's like 6 months old. So she's clearly like postpartum, which I've dealt with that. I get it. Like, you know what I mean? So be sensitive to those things. That's how I would handle it. But then again, some girls may be like, fuck her, whatever. But this comes to your job. I think the best thing is to like give her the reassurance. But if you have crossed the line, maybe you were a little flirty or something, you got to own up to that shit, girl. Like you got to like, own up to it. I don't know the situation, but then again, I would know that I did nothing wrong, so. But yeah, I think it brings up, because like you're kind of in a situation like that with, I mean, Clayton has like, Abby's like one of your guys' good friends, and like clearly they met at work, but I think clearly Clayton has handled it in the right way, and like you guys all hang out together. It's not like
I go when Clayton doesn't want to go out, I go out without him with them. Like we're just genuinely like really good friends at this point.
So it was handled in the right way. It's not like he was like had this like work girlfriend that he like didn't bring you around or anything.
Yeah. Oh my God. No. Also, I'm just like, he's so weird that I think, and it's funny. It is funny because like they'll tell me like stuff like people they work with, or like that they're like, oh, like, yeah, working with this person, like I don't really get along with them, but outside, like they're super cool, like super great. And I was like, okay, well, good to know. Just funny.
Well, and it is, I mean, I think it's expected, like, and obviously like I work from home now, so we're not like in office or anything, but, and I think Peyton's work is almost like 99% males, but I think it's like expected in most jobs that like you will have friends of the opposite sex that you make at work, like just because you work together and you're together a lot. I think it's just you as a person have to like handle that appropriately. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
well, and everyone, any job that I've had that like it's guys and girls working together, I've always viewed, even if I was single, like all the guys is like a friend type, a brother type, where I'm like, no, that never, I don't think. Granted, I've never been in an office relationship.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think it can only end badly. Like you're probably not going to marry that person. And if you both stay at this job, now you have to work together and see each other every day. Which is so
funny because me and Peyton met at our first job. So
okay, well, whatever. Good for you guys.
No. But the caveat to that is you're right. If we're going to stay here, right? Because so for us, it was our first job. We're having that job maximum 2 years, like which we didn't make it 2 years.
If you broke up, someone goes to Subway, someone stays at Jason's Deli.
Someone stays, right? Like, so, but that's the thing is I think certain jobs, it's okay to date people in the workplace. And like, if you know, it's not a long-term job, I know that I can quit Jason's Deli and just move down the road. It's not a big deal, but in a professional job setting, when I know that I could be here 5 years, I could be here my entire career. I'm not about like, you know what I mean? And obviously like I'm married, but like, if I were single, I would be like, I'm absolutely not dating anyone in the office. Cause what if I stay here the rest of my life and now I get to awkwardly be around you in meetings and stuff like that? Like that's super awkward.
Yeah. I need like, especially I need like that break between work and like real life where Clayton works, or he has worked with people that are either married or like dating and they live together and work together. So it's like, what do you talk about? Like, are you constantly talking about work,
Oh, you
or
would run out of shit to talk about for sure. There's no
yeah.
way.
And like
I
you
mean,
drive to work together, you drive home. I'm like, I don't think like, unless you're in the office, I guess that would be kind of your alone time. Like if you don't sit next to each other, but I'm like, that just seems like a
that's
lot.
so
People
much
who do,
together
I'm
time.
sure people who listen are in those situations. I want to know like how you guys deal with that. Not
Yeah,
deal with it, but like, what is
you
it
have to
like?
be able to turn it on and off, right? Like you have to be
Mhm.
able to be like, here's our strategy when we're at work, like here's how we act, here's our norms, and then when we
Yeah.
go home we can be husband and wife, right? Because
Mhm.
like, I mean, because we work in such different industries, we have stuff to talk about
Same.
constantly, right?
Mhm.
So all the time Peyton will be like, what's it like if if this it like, what did he ask one time? Like he was like, what if someone just started cussing out someone on the phone? And I was like, that's literally never happened. Like, why would someone cuss out a client on the phone when I'm like a group call? I just don't know why that would happen. But like,
Yeah.
I get that that's, in his world, people cuss each other out all the time because it's construction and that's just the nature of it. And I'm like,
Clayton said
no.
two people got into a fight, like a fist fight on his job yesterday. Cause he's like, the heat is making people crazy. And I'm like, that
Who
doesn't
was,
happen
what
here.
trade was it? I know Peyton's going to ask me what trade it
Oh
was.
my gosh. I don't know. I will ask him. I will text you.
This is what I mean. In an office setting, I would talk about you behind your back. I would never come up to you and just knock you in the face in the office. Like, why would we do that? And maybe it's just women in general. Like, why would we do
Yeah,
that?
but I would never like overly confront someone. Actually, someone said, one of Clayton coworkers said something funny yesterday. He's like, oh yeah, like when I go into the office, I like to think of myself as a keyboard warrior. And I'm like, oh man. He's like, not a pencil put or paper pusher, a keyboard warrior. I'm like,
Oh
true.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, sorry, my news, we went on a tangent. But yeah, so interesting, something to think about. Like there's always kind of those weird situations. How would you handle it? So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
there's
that
no
was
follow
good.
up here. There's no follow up. So I have no idea
Yeah,
what
that was
happened.
good. I guess advice, don't get in those situations. But what, wait, last question. What would you do if you felt, if you were the wife? If I really felt like Clayton had an inappropriate, this is a hypothetical, this has never happened. This never happened. But like, I don't know what I would do if I felt like I would go to Clayton.
It.
If I felt uncomfortable or like, hey, you're spending a lot of time with this person outside of work without me being present and I'm not friends with this person, I think I would just go to him and be like, I don't feel comfortable. And then it's kind of on the guy to set those boundaries and make sure that like everything's
well, and it's
cool.
all about, because I think, and this is just me and my like psychology mind, thinking like, okay, I'm going to him because his response will tell me a lot. Like if I confront him and I'm like, hey, like, what, this, and you have to approach it. You can't be the bitch. Like you cannot go into it and be like, what the F are you? Give me your phone, blah, blah, blah. Cause you will not get out of this what you want. This is my personal advice. I think you go in and you have to be like, you do the I method thing and you have to be like, look, my feelings are like, it's kind of hurting my feelings, how much time you're spending with this person at work. And like, just, I'm getting kind of a weird vibe from this. Like, I'm looking for some reassurance from you. Like, what is going on here? Is there something wrong with us? Is there whatever? And if their reply is A, super defensive and angry, I would say there's a good chance that something is going on.
And maybe that's what happens between this couple.
Yes, maybe he did get angry and then she was sparked to send the message. B, if their response is like, oh my gosh, like, no, seriously, nothing's going on. Like, I want you to feel reassurance. Like, here's my phone. If you want to read through all this, like, if they're truly like, nothing is going on, blah, 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 like, I'd say like, you're probably good. And maybe just talk about, I would really like to come out with you guys more. Or like, I would like to be included in this. I would like to get to know her if it really is a friend thing. So those are your two options. Now, when you take the crazy path, you are now the crazy bit. You are the crazy wife. And my advice is do whatever you can to not go that path. Cause now you're not credible.
Yes. Actually, this is a good conversation. I think I'm going to change my story for this week. Cause I forgot. I said, I have never been in that situation. I have once. And it's not what you think. I think you guys are going to laugh about this. So I'm going to switch my story. I'm laughing just thinking about it because I don't think I ever told you this. So Clayton, we both went to Mizzou, met at Mizzou, and he actually graduated a semester before me. And So he graduated in December. I knew he was going to Oregon. Like that was always his plan. And I eventually met him out there. But I had a semester left. And
So you were at Mizzou for a semester by yourself, and he was working by himself in a different state.
Dating long distance. Yeah. Just for a semester, like a couple months. Honestly, it was
Which
really
props
fun.
to you guys. It's hard. Like it's hard in any relationship. So
it was tough. We had been long distance every single summer. And then I was like, oh my gosh, but it was like the longest time. Like I knew he was going to be at nationals. I knew he was going to be at graduation, but it was like 3 months of us not seeing each other was kind of crazy. And so, so he starts his job. He's telling me all about it. He's so excited, like still at the same company. And he's telling me about the people he's working with. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet all these people. And like, it's kind of nice. We'll be able to step into kind of a little friend group that you've already created. Like, thanks, dude. And so, and I think he definitely sent me the photo. So I guess one day in the office, they're like, oh, we're going to do like a little photo shoot of like, if you have a little friend group at work, like, let's do like a cute little photo shoot. And like, you can do a theme, whatever. And so at the time, it was him, his roommate, who was this guy, and these 2 other girls. And I knew one had a boyfriend. And I think the other girl and Clayton's roommate were kind of talking. So I was like, okay, cool. Like definitely.
You felt comfortable. You were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't know that at the time. I think I might've found that out right after anyway, but I knew it was the 4 of them, which I was totally fine with. I was like, yeah, like that sounds awesome. Like friends. And so they do their photo shoot. Clayton sends it to me and I am pissed because their theme was like awkward family photo. So they dressed in like all denim. And I think it's like Clayton and the other guy are like sitting on the ground back to back. And the girls are like kind of leaning on them. But like the girl that was next to Clayton, like their heads are touching. And they're like just very, very close. And so I'm like, that's weird. Like, I
would be mad, especially knowing that I live 1,000 miles away and you're like very close with another girl in this photo.
So
like
quickly.
I don't know this girl. Yeah.
It had been like 2 weeks. It'd been so quick. And so I went a little crazy. I went the crazy route. I sent it to all my friends. I'm like quizzing people. I like put emojis.
What do you think about this? Like,
I put emojis over all the faces and I'm like, does this look like a group of friends or 2 couples? Like, are these people too close? Tell me. And everyone's like, yeah, like that's weird. And then when I revealed the faces, they're like, Ashton, oh my God. Like I'm feeding into it because
you're reading the body language. You're like, and girlfriends don't help when they know you're crazy. They'll always back you up, right? Like
just as crazy.
I'm like, yeah, girl, fuck him. You know, as your friend, I'm like, when you're going there, I'm going there.
So they're hyping me up and I'm like, oh my God, guys, like, what do I do? Like he's in Oregon. Like I want to be in Oregon. Eventually I talked to him like the next day or something. And I'm like, do you want to tell me what's going on in this photo? Like, I don't think that's your coworkers. That's a little close. And he's like, oh my God, no, Ashton, like she's talking to my roommate and the girl next to me has a boyfriend. And I'm like, well, it really doesn't look like it. Come to find out her boyfriends. So I think it was the girl with the boyfriend, Clayton, or the ones that were so close in the photo. He also was pissed about the picture. Cause yeah, first glance, they're like, oh yeah, we can understand how it wouldn't come off as like an awkward family photo. And so eventually like everything's fine. We actually become really good friends with one of the couples. We're actually going to their wedding later this month.
Which is so funny that
like they're like some of our best friends. Like they're awesome. And I'm going to her bachelorette trip. So everything works out. But like,
oh my God.
months later, actually might have even been a year, we did a little girls trip between me, her, and one of her college friends. And I had asked her about it. I don't know how it came up because the third girl didn't know about the picture. And I was like, oh, are you going to take a picture with my boyfriend again? And like, we laugh about it. It's fine. Like, it's so funny.
Now it's a joke. Like now you're like, okay.
But she's like, and her excuse, I was like, Morgan, why were you so close to him? And she's like, well, we figured out the pose, but I didn't realize that the other girl wasn't as close in. So it just made
so it looks like she's really flirty. Coupley. Oh,
and she's like, yeah, my boyfriend was not happy about it and she's marrying him now. So it all worked out.
But you know what? I get it because like you're home. He just moved away. So you're sensitive anyways.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks into his new job, you see this, like you're like, okay, wow, super weird, cool.
Yeah. It was so funny. Like looking back, I'm like, yeah, I probably could have handled it better. But also, who would take a photo like that? Who would do that? And I guess like he sent it to me. How crazy would that be if that was how he was breaking up with me? Send a picture of him and another girl
in all denim. Like you were
hey,
like,
I work with her now.
And you're like, okay, have fun. Like
Partners in work and in life. And I'd be like, okay, so I can't move in.
I mean, what a breakup story. Like you'd be like, I mean, I guess him and this other girl wear denim all the time now. Should I have worn more denim?
More denim. Oh my God.
Apparently he's really into denim girls.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a better way. Maybe I should have just like in the moment say, what the hell's going on here? Like instead of sending it to all of my friends. Cause and you totally understand. I think every girl understands this where like
we've all been crazy. Let's be honest.
We've all been crazy. And sometimes not like you like hide things from people, but like if I want to complain, like early on in our relationship, like if Clayton had made me mad, I knew I'm like, okay, I can either complain about this to my friends and family, or since I know it's going to blow over, I can just like kind of push it under the rug. So then
I have to look at it and be like, is this worth telling everyone in my life, or should I keep
everyone will
myself?
Remember. Everyone will remember.
Yeah,
and I think
you don't want everyone to judge, and like it's just like
yeah. Because we've all had those friends where it's like, man, I hate this girl's boyfriend because I only hear the bad stuff. Because she always like, which I mean, yeah, like if bad stuff's going on, like please
it's
say
okay
it.
Being that girl if that's who you are. If you're like, whatever happens in my relationship, I'm telling my whole family. Like if that's your dynamic and that's what it is, that's fine. Like whatever, but at least for us, like we're like, okay, is this a private matter or is this something that like my friends and family can know? Like,
And so it was really funny to have to explain because my friends would ask me about it, like, hey, Ashton, like whatever happens between that girl and Clayton, I'm like, we're friends now. It's cool.
I actually went to her bachelorette party and they're like,
yeah. And once I explained it to them, even some people were like, maybe just like check in on that. Like that seems like a too convenient excuse. And I was like, no, I think he's telling the truth. After my internet stalking, I think we're okay, guys.
We've all been crazy. It's okay. I have like honestly interrogated Peyton about like I'll do laundry or something and like find like a tank top or something and like
that's yours and you're like, whose
is this? And he's like, I'm pretty sure that's yours. And I'm like, I have never owned this in my life. And
it's something like Mama got you that you're like, I forgot about that.
Probably. Or like there was one time where like I know that I had gone to the lake with like Emily or somebody and like clearly it was like I had recently done a girls trip where I packed my bag really quick, threw it in the wash and like, clearly there's like underwear or like clearly it was my friends, but I
to find another woman's underwear. Oh my God, I'd go ballistic.
And then of course, like, I actually remember asking my friend, like, is this yours? And she was like, oh yeah, like you probably grabbed it up my leg. But
Thank God.
I would not admit to it to Peyton because I had already made a fool out of myself. And so I was just like, I just made a mistake, then maybe it's mine.
I'll forgive you this time.
I guess I'll just let this.
And you're like, it was me.
I was actually my mistake, but I will not admit to that.
So. Oh my God, that is so funny.
Yeah. So no. When you go crazy, I feel like the bigger person thing would be to be like, I was crazy and I'm sorry, but absolutely like most of us are like, no, you need to find a way to just like, when you realize you're wrong, either you just like, be like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'll forgive you, even though you were 1000% in the wrong.
Is this what gaslighting is?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think this is that cool, guys, but when times get tough, you got to roll up your sleeves.
You know what? You got to just, sometimes it's very rare that I'll be like, yeah, I'm fucking nuts. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not admitting I'm crazy. You never admit it. No.
Well, and I'm a person that needs to cool off because then I will just spew things that I don't mean to say. And then 5 minutes later, Clayton and I always come back and we're like, I'm sorry. Do you want to make dinner? Okay. And like, that's that. It's fine. Do you want to watch Mythic Quest? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a nerdy show.
So good.
Oh my God.
Don't knock it.
Wow. Well, so my story, I think I can tell it. It's not related to anything we've talked about the last 15 minutes, but we can switch gears because I think it'll end in a laugh. So
I'm excited for yours.
A couple weeks ago, Ashton told her story about almost shitting her pants at the arch, and I said, I have a good story, but I think it needs to be in an episode itself. So this, you know what? This is the time to be transparent and just put this on the internet.
We're coming
for
clean
everyone
on this episode today, people.
Why pay for therapy when you can have a podcast? So, Ashton told her story, and this isn't as bad. Like, I haven't ever frantically ran into a business like Ashton has multiple times.
Live your truth, girl.
This is equally embarrassing, and I think the only person that knows right now is Peyton, but now the world's gonna know. So at my current job, so when my work people listen to this, they're gonna be like, you did this. So I had maybe been there like a month, like 2 months, like I'm within my first 3 months for sure. I go into the parking lot, and I remember mom had like taken me out to buy like some nice work clothes. Like, I'm like styling, like I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to wear this, like, whatever. I go into the work parking garage, which like we had parking all around the building, then we had a garage, and I that day had gotten there on time to get a garage spot. So I'm so excited. I'm like rolling up in the parking garage, get my prime spot, all that. And I had to toot a little, I'm going to be honest. And I wanted to toot before I'm like in this building full of people, right? Because I got a long walk till I get to my desk.
Yeah.
I trusted that fart a little too much. And I may have sharted. I did shart. I sharted.
Well, good thing you were in the car and you're not walking down the hallway and you have to clench.
I did. And I remember just like being like, okay, like I'm going to let this go before I get out of my car. And I did. And then I was like, immediately like, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I walk into the building and then check my underwear and then leave? Or do I just like, and by that point I'm like, I definitely leaked. Like, this is not okay. And like, and I'm like, meanwhile, I'm supposed to be at my desk, like, ideally in like 15 minutes. And I'm like, I have to go home. I cannot go into work. Like, what do I do? Cut my underwear out and work with no underwear all day? I just started this job. That's ridiculous. And so I sent my boss an email that said, I'm sick. I'm going to have to work from home today. And I'm sure at the time she was like, you're supposed to be here in 15 minutes. Like, you're just now sick. So I'm sure she didn't think anything of it. Was like, whatever. She's new. She doesn't have anything to do anyway. So,
oh my God. Is this your
coming clean?
Is this your current boss, your current manager?
Yeah, we're close enough. So I'm sure she's going to listen to this. And
did you tell her later on?
No, this will be
congrats.
So
oh my
Lauren,
God, so
Lauren,
funny.
I'm coming clean about, the few times I worked from home early on.
Can you report back if she listens to this? Can you report back?
I'm sure she'll send me a ping
and have her be like, I totally thought you were lying. I totally thought you were hungover.
She probably, honestly, that's why I was like, okay, the worse she thinks I'm hungover. Yeah. And I just, but
no, you sharted in your pants.
I sharted in the parking garage. And then I immediately think about this. So like, I remember leaving, like it happened. And then I was like, I have to leave. And I called Peyton and immediately was like, I sharted and I have to go home. And he was like, were you at your desk? I was like, no, I was just in the parking garage.
Well, good thing you weren't like at your desk and you're like, I have to go. Cause
well, like, now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So I did. So I left. And meanwhile, there's a train of cars coming into the campus. And here's my lone car that security was probably like, didn't that car just come through here? And I'm leaving immediately.
No, I have to go. I'm sick.
That drive home, like, I was just like, do I stop and deal with this? Or do I get home? And I was like, I have to get home. I cannot deal with this embarrassment. Like,
that is so funny. Oh my God.
So
that's awesome.
Feel free to title the episode, I sharted in the parking garage.
That's it. That's perfect. Oh my God.
So bad.
You didn't tell anyone. You really kept that for
I
years.
kept that happened. I have been there like 3.5 years. It's a long.
Oh my God.
This in,
I'm
and
so
it's
happy
you
were able to come clean. I'm so
I feel
happy.
like a weight has been lifted.
Oh my God. That is so funny.
Yeah,
Should we end the episode on that? I think that was a good one.
That was pretty good. Just
Sweet.
end it right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, guys. Don't trust it too much.
True. All
Taste
right.
the Mondays. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Ashton. We'll see
We'll
you
see you
next
next week.
Monday. Bye.